232 bowlers began competition last Monday, and today the final 5 meet for the top prize of $10,000 as ABC Sports moves to Adelphi, Maryland on the 1979 Pro Bowlers Tour. Today, it's the $80,000 Fairlanes Open. Match number 1 in 5th place, an 11-year veteran, Teata Semiz. He'll meet the 4th place bowler, Keith Craycraft, looking for his first PBA title. The winner of this first match will challenge George Pappas with 5 PBA titles. And the winner of that game will meet the number 2 bowler, Larry Laub, winner of 10 PBA titles. Then that winner will bowl for the championship against Paul Mosier, the tournament leader for the 2nd time this year on the Pro Bowlers Tour. The winner of this match to meet George Pappas. That's more like it. Keith Craycraft, who has a pro shop in a set of lanes operated by his father, Willis, who is watching him today. And here is the father of 2, Teata Semiz, 20-year-old Lori and 13-year-old Tommy.
You know, Chris, Teata's been on the tour a long time, and I asked him what the secret to his longevity is. Here's what he had to say.
I worked in construction for 25 years, and I think going up and down the ladders keeps my legs in good shape, and I don't know how long I'll stay out here. I think when Salvino quits, I'll quit.
Okay. So he has a 5-bagger now, and really zeroed in, this 44-year-old.
And he was speaking of fellow Italian Carmen Salvino, who has enjoyed such a great, long career on the tour. Teata has the match well in hand, 45-pin lead, 9th frame, really has a possible 269. We didn't even expect to see scores like this today. It's been the close matches all week. The 220s have been taking most of the money, winning most of the close matches.
5'11", 175 pounds. Now he has 6 in a row in this very first game. Really turning the screws on Keith Craycraft.
Watch the 2-pin go to the sideboard, a shot that most people at home never get to see, and they wonder what takes out the 4. See the 2-pin, it goes to the sideboard, twists a little bit, love tap on the 4 and 7, and that's the great break that all pros need. They can carry that light hit, but when they carry high, they're in business.
So there's a double for Keith Craycraft.
As the scoreboard shows, Teata Semiz working at a 2:49 pace. Even if he opens in the 10th, he'll be in the 2:30s. The best Keith Craycraft can do is a 2:24.
This is Keith's his 5th tournament of the year, and this is our 10th stop since January. His last appearance was in 1977.
A bit discouraged, a little disconsolate, but he knows he bowled a real good game. He got 1 bad break in the 7th frame where he opened up with a 6-7, really opened the door for Semiz, but you can look for this player to be back again.
Teata Semiz has shot a 258 with 8 strikes, 7 in a row, defeating Keith Craycraft in the 2nd match. The winner to meet Larry Laub, and the winner of the semifinal then to meet the tournament leader, Paul Mosier. And shooting first, just off a 258, Teata Semiz.
High game this week, 289. That's out of 42 games bowled, 18 in the qualifier and 24 in the match play.
Smooth release.
And Chris, you picked it up. Teata Semiz has been lofting the ball well out on the left-hand lane and just tripping the 4. He moved a little deeper on the lane and just rolled it very smoothly. As you see, the great footwork, but watch him roll this ball nice and smooth right at the line. Excellent.
Good balance, and that's what your tip of the week will be on, balance.
If you can do it like that, you'll get a lot of strikes.
And the number 3 finisher in the field of 232, George Pappas, has answered here in the 2nd game with a strike.
George Pappas has won 5 PBA titles, Chris. If I watched him bowl, and I have week after week, I tab him for one of the superstars of the game. It's just amazing to me that he doesn't win more often. He's great in the clutch. He can go the distance. He trains hard. But for some reason, he's missed that winning punch right at the end. I think he's got a new baby on the way in May, and I think maybe that'll change him around a little bit.
32 years old. Powerful final strike. A double for Papis of Charlotte, North Carolina.
And was he casual at those strikes? He just went up there and threw them just like they were shadow balls, nothing to it. That can be quite disturbing to an opponent. These players have played each other a lot of time. There is some match game psychology. Teata knows that George Pappas is a tough, tough competitor.
And we're all even. 2 frames for each bowlers and 2 strikes for each. If you just joined us, our first match ended with Semiz, at whom we're looking, defeating Craycraft 258 to 224.
Chris, an interesting point for the people at home, as we said, in the left lane hooks a little more, but these are old duck pin lanes. That's the little bitty pins that you use quite often in this area and up in New England, and it converted to 10 pins. What is different about the lanes is that the heads, or the front part of the lane, the maple part, is 30 foot long, and the pine is 30 foot long. On a regular lane, it's only 17 feet and 43 feet.
And you can see the coloration difference. With the 10-pin leave on the left lane, the maple, of course, is much lighter in color. Beautiful hardwood.
Teata Semiz from the old school. He's 44 years old, has the old powerful release, but watch how he ends up about a foot behind the foul line. Most of the young players are right up on the foul line. Teata got that from his great idol, Don Carter, who dominated bowling in the 50s and slid way behind the foul line, and Teata said he just picked it up watching Carter.
And the man who has a pro shop at Leisure Lanes in New Jersey. After opening with a double, marks with a spare in the 3rd frame of our 2nd game.
To follow up on the lane condition a little bit, Chris, the longer maple area will delay the hook more. Ball will not bite or grab as much on maple as it will on the softer pine area down the lane. That's the only difference.
That was George Pappas, and leaving the 2-8.
Just a little fast with his feet. You see he's down almost the center of the lane as they were last week, staying inside the track area. Head pin going to sideboard, leaving the 2-8 double wood. By no means a gimme spare.
George won his last title in Tucson, 1977, beating Mark Roth by 2 pins. Good coverage of that double wood on the right lane by Pappas. And we're still all even.
Chris, George Pappas made the 2-8, no problem. But you'll find that the players will probably make a few more spares on this condition than they will on some of the other ones, because the ball, you have more control over it when it's skidding on the maple. The longer you can skid the ball and still generate power at the back end to drive the pins out, the more accuracy you have.
Pardon me. Pappas trailing by 1. Leaving the 6-10, and at the line he was really cranking it.
Chris, as you said, he is a power player, even though he's a short stature. George likes to get up there and really turn that ball hard. When I first met George in the mid-60s as a real young player, he really hooked the ball. But since the conditions have changed a little bit in the last 3 or 4 years, a little lighter pins, a little more hook on the lanes, George has gone with the line pawl. But that shot he really turned.
And a nice cross-lane shot with a beautiful follow-through. Things that you could copy when you bowl. So with a 3-pin difference, we'll be back. Ten-pin on the right lane.
And that's the first bad break that Teata has got. Look at this 6-pin, just the 2nd pin from the right-hand channel. Now watch it fly in the air, never touch the channel, around the sideboard and into the pit. As we noticed last week when we were in Miami, Chris, the 6-pin often touches the sideboard before coming back in the 10, something that I didn't know and a lot of the other players didn't know. Amazing.
Ooh. Yeah, that was very close.
Back to that 13-pin lead. You can see the situation on your fight board. Through 8 frames, Teata 167 going at a 227 pace, as we call it. Pappas, a very respectable 214 pace with 154 through the 7th. There's a man who is a tremendous calculator. He's studying it out, and he's a confident player. Key frame for both of these players, 9th frame.
44-year-old Teata Semiz putting on quite a show here for all of you this afternoon in our live coverage from Adelphi, Maryland.
Situation is this as we come up in the 9th and 10th frames. Teata Semiz going at a 2:27 pace. George Pappas through 8 frames going at a 2:14 pace, but a possible 2:34 with 3 strikes in the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
George Pappas leaving a 10-pin, a young man that's 17th on the all-time money winnings, $296,000. And incidentally, in Pro-Am checks, which he's won plenty of, he always donates them to local charities.
That's quite a nice gesture. There you see the great form of Pappas, the trajectory of the ball about the 16th board or just inside the 3rd arrow, and you can see a weak 10, 6-pin, not getting quite all the 10. Cross lane, a little extra speed. Pappas coming up in the 10th has a possible 2:23. He is almost a must situation. He needs a strike in the 10th and 11th to force Teata Semiz to get a good count and mark. There's still the possibility of somebody getting an open frame. Teata Semiz got to this position by catching a great break from Ed Ressler last night, who opened in the 10th. Pappas needs a double to put the pressure on Semiz. George Pappas will not give up. He's a tough competitor. You're going to have to take it from him. There's a difference between losing and getting beat. George Pappas is not a loser. Teata Semiz will have to beat him. Teata knows it. These players know each other's personality out there, and he knows that the odds are that Pappas is going to throw this next ball right in the pocket and put the pressure on him.
And during the week, Bo, they do a lot of psyching of their opponent. Not so much here in these head-to-head pressure matches, but during the week, you guys really go at one another.
They work on them.
These professionals are really machines. It's amazing the groove that they can get into.
Such fine physical condition, so well trained, so cool under the pressure. Throwing that ball under those lights is by no means a gimme. Pappas, with one more strike, will have a 2:23. He'll force Semiz to get a spare and at least 7 pins on his next final ball.
Great mental and physical coordination, these bowlers. Big 223. You remember in the last game, Semiz defeated Craycraft 258 to 224. So the scores are super.
Here's what Teata Semiz needs. If he strikes on this ball, he goes ahead and meet Larry Lobb. If he gets a spare, he needs 7 to win. If he gets an open, Pappas is the winner.
All right.
It's not over yet. Teata Semiz needs to make this 10-pin and then get 7 on his final ball. If he gets 6, we have a tie.
And don't forget, on his last attempt at covering a 10-pin, he was so near the channel it was frightening.
Good point, Chris. Must have this spare.
All right. Number 5 position bowler, Teata Semiz, accepting the pressure here of 2 games, needs 7 pins to win, as you see on our superimposed on your picture, which is originating in Adelphi, Maryland, live.
Chris, if he gets 7 pins, he wins. 6 is a tie. 5 would be disaster.
And he got 9.